Morbid Lords of Ire, a game with so much potential, but yet one very critical flaw.
Like me.
What is up, everyone? MTK here, and today we are going to review Morbid Lords of Ire. I was so close to loving this game. So close. But alas, there's some critical problems that we're going to jump into. But before we get into all that, please leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all these reviews and my weekly live streams. Right now we're playing through Bloodborne, so you don't want to miss tuning into that. And just a quick disclaimer, all the footage that I'll be showing is from the very beginning of the game to keep this review as spoiler free as possible. But with that said, let's jump into this here. So we're going to start with first talking about the visuals. The visuals in this game are nothing special. They're pretty basic. The graphics aren't, anything to be praised necessarily. They're not necessarily bad either. They're just nothing very good. The performance also is a little buggy. I play on a PS5 and I had multiple issues where I would get stuck in the environment. One time I had to actually exit the game completely and reload just to get out of this little hole that I was stuck in. There was weird enemy bugs. There was all kinds of glitchiness from time to time. Nothing super game breaking necessarily, but it definitely is not good performance. So keep that in mind. I can't speak to the performance on the PC, but on console, it was not good at all. Now, similar to the visuals, the story also is nothing special, really. It's pretty much there's a bad dude over there, go kill him. And you just do that multiple times throughout the game, and that's pretty much the gist of it. Obviously, there's more to the story that I won't mention, but the overarching theme is bad guy go kill. Not necessarily the worst, but definitely nothing special. One positive thing I will say, though, is that the music in this game I really enjoyed. I felt like it helped tie the theme together and really immerse you into the game. I really enjoyed the soundtrack on it. So that was a good thing. But the overall story and immersion from that aspect of it, I don't think that you'll find yourself in awe in any way. Now to the combat. And as with most Souls likes, your combat slash gameplay is the most important part. And this game doesn't really do anything bad. In fact, there's pretty cool elements to it. There's multiple mechanics at play. You can parry and repost. There's a perfect block mechanic similar to Lies of P. There's a stagger meter for death blows or critical hits. There's a gun interrupt that is sort of like Bloodborne, and all those things work pretty well together. And I found that the combat was fairly fun, at least in my experience. It was somewhat clunky and unresponsive at times, which could be kind of annoying, but overall, I would say that the combat is probably its strongest suit, and it should be as a Souls like I said, that's sort of what you're looking for. I would say that there's definitely a lot of room to improve as far as the smoothness of the combat goes, and in that area it faltered a little bit, but overall I think the combat was done fairly well. There's a lot of potential to it. It could have been done really well, and that's what is so disheartening to me is that there's so much to this game that could have been a home run and it just missed the mark by a little bit. So, what about the general gameplay, though? Overall, it's pretty standard. One weird thing was, although it's a Souls like, there's no resource drop when you die. So, when you make it back to where you died, there's nothing for you to pick up other than your experience multiplier. So, as you kill enemies, you gain a multiplier on the amount of experience that you gain. When you die, that multiplier gets reset. Same thing if you rest at a bonfire or checkpoint or whatever, that multiplier will reset. And that's really the only death punishment there is. So it really takes away that element of, the rush you get trying to get back to where you died, to get back all your precious souls or whatever you're trying to get back. That doesn't exist in this game, which is kind of a staple of a Souls like in my opinion. So I found that kind of disappointing. I also wish that it had some kind of level up system or a skill tree or something like that. It does not have that. It has a blessings system, which is kind of similar to what a skill tree would be, but it's not really a skill tree. So I feel like the game could have had a lot more depth if it had something like that, a way to level up or something to build your character as you progress through the game. This game doesn't really have that, unfortunately. But here's the fatal flaw, the thing that really killed the game for me. In fact, it killed the game so much that I really only made it about 90% of the way through the game because it was so frustrating that I just quit. I quit playing it, turned it off. I'm going to uninstall it. This thing is just so annoying. And that is that the developers of this game decided to make a decision to, instead of a boss fight, in a lot of places, what they do is they just close off the environment so you can't leave a certain area. And then they chuck hordes of enemies at you. Just multiple 10, 20, 30 enemies sometimes. And that is not fun at all. There's no skill involved in that. There's no challenge to it really, other than the fact that there's no real time and place for you to attack and deal damage, because by the time you decide to swing, the enemy right behind that one is already attacking you. So there's really no place to be able to deal damage, and it just takes the whole skill factor, fun factor, challenge factor out of the fight altogether. I really wish that developers would learn this, that throwing multiple enemies at a person does not equal difficulty. It equals annoying. That's what it equals. You can make the game difficult by designing bosses well or designing enemies well, making your combat flow well so that as your skill gets better, the game feels better. But that's not what they did here. What they did is gave you multiple areas where you just want to quit the game. There's no other way to say it. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did. So, because of that, because of that critical flaw, I couldn't make it through the game. I would not feel comfortable recommending this game to anybody because of that thing right there in particular. So, because of that, where does this game stack up? I'm going to have to say you should just go play Elden Ring. This game's not worth your money. I don't believe that you'll have a good experience playing it. If you're like me, it's going to start out strong. You're going to start to really enjoy it, and then you're going to hit some of those areas that I was just mentioning, and you're going to realize that it's just not worth your time. So, sadly, although I really wanted to like this game, I just cannot say that I would recommend it to anyone.
Do it now. Smash like.